I think this 9-game winning streak is more impressive than what the Celtics were doing before that Cleveland loss on that win streak, that 11-gamer that they ripped off. Because who's been in and out of the lineup? You know, it's been really impressive that you got Holiday dealing with that dead arm. You got Brown, Porzingis, Horford, Tatum kind of rotating on this like resting flip flop type of rotation.
Right.
And you really are just seeing the guys you didn't expect to step up, beginning to step up. And mind you, this Chicago team is at home tonight fighting for that playoff spot, right? Fighting for that standings. And Boston was able to come in and kind of control the pace of the game throughout, 4 quarters. And an individual I have to talk about, he's not the player spotlight, and the player spotlight we'll get into, but Peyton Pritchard, man. Peyton too big Pritchard, right? A little shot at Pat Bev for you there. He has been on an absolute tear over the last 6 games. 15.8 points, 3.6 rebounds, 7.2. That's a mistypo. That's not 7.2 steals, 7.2 assists, right? 51% from the floor and 53% from 3, which is just absolutely absurd. Shooting clips for a guard, 50 from the floor and 53 from behind the arc. Peyton Pritchard, guys, with Holiday kind of having to miss some time here with that dead arm syndrome, does this kind of allow the Celtics and kind of give them a lot more flexibility moving forward?
Gives them tremendous amount of flexibility moving forward. And Peyton Pritchard, who had a kind of slow start to this season, we were kind of really, I wouldn't say us three specifically, but there certainly were, some eyebrows raised where it's like, we gave him the extension. He's not having a great season to start off. His shot wasn't falling, really a liability on the defensive end. He seems to really be locked in and buying into exactly what this Celtics team is trying to do here. And you got to give Peyton Pritchard a lot of credit. He sat through so many DNP coaches' decisions throughout the last couple of years. So for him to be on this team still, to outlast Malcolm Brogdon and Marcus Smart and Kemba Walker, like that just goes to show you that this Celtics team has really seen this in Peyton Pritchard all along, and it was only a matter of time and opportunity for Peyton Pritchard. And what he's been able to make of this opportunity so far has just been absolutely spectacular. And he's coming alive at the perfect part of the season, right? When guys go down, when guys need rest, and you can have a guy like Peyton Pritchard coming in here, averaging a near double off the bench, and who can start any given night if you really need him to, even when you are healthy. To have a guy like him is just such a luxury, Franco.
And before the season started, everyone was talking about his extension, if he was going to be worth the money. He is well under his value for what we got from him for the next, what is his next contract? The next 4 years, I believe.
Yeah, right.
4-year extension. So yeah, in for 3 years, $4 million is going to be the minimum, veteran minimum. So we pretty much got him at a steal at that rate. And I think that what he's been able to do is being able to fill in and be that guy to play next to Derek White and Drew Holiday, and being able to be versatile kind of is a testament to how greatly built the Celtics roster is. That you could throw him in with any 4 other players, and he is going to contribute and make all those players look better than they did before. He's been doing a great job of getting the ball to players like Brissett, getting slashers the ball, setting up opportunities for Sam Hauser. They have had a really big connection off the bench. Him and Sam Hauser, when you see him going down the floor in transition, you can literally see them pointing at each other who's going to take which shot. Like when they're setting up plays, you'll see them go, all right, Hauser, Pritchard's in his spot, which is, I think, top left of the key or a 3-point line, and he's just getting it there. And if it's not there, it's right there to Sam Hauser, and it's been textbook for him. And he's also been able to get to the middle of the paint as well.
I think the most important thing with Pritchard is right now his ability to stay ready and get ready, because his number has not been called a whole lot this year, right? And I think it's been really impressive that through 60 games this year, he was kind of, playing some up and down minutes. Some games you see him 20, some games you see him 5, some games you don't even see him. And I think his ability to be ready whenever his number is being called has been very impressive. I think Pritchard's a player that, I've been rough on over the course of the season, because obviously you just gave him that extension and you really don't know what role he plays. But the Eddie House role is a role where I'm all for. And it was a bit, I think Franco was a great connection, because Eddie House was a guy in 2008 off that bench who was a motor guy. He was a great 3-point shooter. He was a high energy, high hustle, smaller guard shooter. And that's exactly kind of what I see Peyton Pritchard as this year. And I think moving forward, that's what he has to be. That's the role he has to embrace. And you talk about, another player, his running mate off the bench, Sam Hauser. He's done it again, man. This is his third player spotlight in the past 10 games. Here's a stat. That's a stat for you, right? 3 in the last 10 for Sam Hauser. Tonight, 23 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, 8 of 9 from the floor. And guys, this one right here, believe it or not, is actually not a typo. 7 of 8 from behind the arc for Sam Hauser. He has been absolutely everything and more right now for the Boston Celtics, guys. And I feel like with Sam, we kind of mentioned him a lot recently with the guys in and out of the lineup, but the ability to just really find his shot in this stretch. And I think when you individually, Cornette, Pritchard, Hauser, Brissett, Tillman all kind of have, I think, individual goals they need to reach in these next, 11 games to finish out the year, dating back to kind of the past 5 or 6 to close out this season. And Hauser's has been to find that shot, get it into a rhythm coming into the playoffs. Because I'll tell you what, if Hauser can do this when the playoffs roll around, if he can shoot at this high of a clip, obviously those numbers are going to be a lot less. He's not going to be able to take 8 threes, every game. He might be able to, right? He might be able to get into a rhythm. But if he can continue to shoot, right in that high 40, mid 40 range over the course of 7 games, this Celtics team is just adding fuel to an already just absolute beast of an offense.
It's so bizarre because Sam Hauser, in a similar position, went undrafted, a 2-way contract deal from a spectacular summer league in Vegas. Went from all of a sudden Celtics at the trade deadline 2 years ago had 5 open roster spots. He was converted and then later signed to a 3-year extension. So it's like Sam Hauser has also been in Peyton Pritchard's shoes in a way where his number has not been called over the last 2.5 years. There's been nights where he plays 20 minutes, like you said, with Pritchard. There's been nights where he gets coaches' decisions, do not plays. And this year, every time his number's been called, it's been spectacular. I think last year, you don't wish injury upon anybody, but I think Gallinari going down early in the season kind of boosted that opportunity for Sam Hauser. And maybe we're not talking about Sam Hauser if Gallinari stays healthy and plays the role he was supposed to play with the Celtics. So that, in that alternate universe. But what we're seeing from Sam Hauser now, it's not the shooting that's impressed me, guys, because I know Sam Hauser is a sniper. I've watched him since college. What impresses me is we're so fixated on talking about how Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Derek White are taking these leaps in their career. Look at the progression of Sam Hauser. Even earlier in the season, compared to 2 to 3 months ago, when we saw Hauser and Hauser wasn't having a good shooting night, wasn't really impacting the game much. Like, let's be honest, he just wasn't. Now he's starting to get these off the dribble, kind of get to the basket, get to his spot, the finish game, the tier. We saw a couple teardroppers tonight from Sam Hauser. He's able to really hold his own on the defensive end. I wouldn't say he's a defensive specialist, but compared to even a few months ago, you can definitely tell his footwork has improved. Sam Hauser has been everything and more for the Celtics off the bench this season, especially as of late. And that's going to be huge, not only come playoff time, but come the final 2 to 3 week stretch here when guys like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum need the night out. You can rely on a consistent Sam Hauser from the floor. Like I said earlier in this episode, and I said this last post game as well, I am so comfortable. There were stretches tonight where Tatum sat for multiple minutes, and I was so comfortable with with what I was seeing from O'Shea Brissett and Sam Hauser and Luke Cornett and Peyton Pritchard. So that just goes to show you how guys like we're talking about, Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser, how they've been able to evolve in this Celtic system, Franco.
It's the bus three boys. They've stuck together through a long time, and they've went through practices together. I think that they are perfect fits for what this bench has, and that's what differentiates the Celtics benches away from, you look at like the Los Angeles Lakers, where you have more luxury names like a Christian Wood coming off the bench. You have players like Jared Vanderbilt, players that you would be like, oh wow, imagine if the Celtics had them. But it's what they've just been able to form together and have that connection that those teams really don't. And you look around the NBA, a lot of benches aren't very stuck together, and you'll see teams switching through their rotations every single year. But the fact that the Celtics have had Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, Luke Cornett as well, those three sticking together as almost a trio for a rotation for the past 3 years, and I think they've kind of been a project in the eyes of the Boston Celtics, because you've seen them have their stretches down in Maine over the past 2 or 3 years, and now you're starting to see all that come through.
And I think that was the idea behind the trade deadline. A lot of people wanted to trade Pritchard. A lot of people wanted to trade Cornett and trade, Hauser less so, but his name was thrown into there. And I think Brad's vision was that he was going to ride out this chemistry wave, and he trusted those guys off the bench that he had. And when a lot of people didn't, and myself included at times, I was iffy on this bench coming into the year, and I was iffy on this bench from like January to February. They really weren't doing too much for us. And then, again, opportunity arise, and the Celtics have taken care of business all season long. And here come these bench players. And not only is it reps, guys, but it's confidence.
Yeah.
Their confidence is going to be sky high. They are winning games against solid teams at a very high rate right now. So when I look at Hauser, I look at Pritchard, I look at Cornett, I'm seeing three guys that have impressed me far beyond expectations. And I'm very excited to see how they can contribute when the playoffs arrive.